Good morning. Good morning. Well, my idea was to let you all just relax and continue to eat, but as you know, in the President's office, there's someone who keeps a clock and a wagging finger, and she's executed both on me already. Good morning and welcome back. I'm so happy to see you. I hope that several of you know who stands to my right here. I invited all the Board of Trustees members to join us this morning, but I'll tell you, I was with them last night in the TENAC administration building for the Dearborn Public Schools until 10 o'clock when I left the meeting. But all seven, and including these two, were still there. I do not know how long you guys stayed last night. About 10:30. So we may have a couple other trustees trickling in, but I do want to reintroduce you to two of our leaders. One is an officer. He is the Secretary, Jim Thorpe. And you may or may not remember that his mother is, and I think still is, a faculty member in the School of Health and Human Services. And then, of course, you know the most recent past chair of our board, Dr. Michael Mead. Most of you probably know him in his previous role, which was Vice President of Student Affairs at the Henry Ford Community College and the Henry Ford College, I think. Yes. And both have been good friends to me, good mentors to me, and good leaders of our college. And, you know, I have a habit of doing this, and it's really not fair, but I like to have Dr. Mead, when he has a chance, to address his former colleagues and an institution that he devoted over 3 decades of his professional career to. And I know he never passes up a microphone. So I do I do want to give Dr. Mead an opportunity to say hello and welcome back, and then I'll be making a few comments myself. Dr. Mead.
Well, he used to be my favorite president. I always like this when you get a 2-minute notice about say something. All I want to say is that welcome back. It's really great to be a part of the community college movement. We have major responsibilities to educate students who come to us, many unprepared, many from poverty, many also very well prepared and ready to go on. But the most important thing is that they get an opportunity to get the knowledge and skills that they need in order to get into the economy, to raise a family, to be participants in our democracy. So all of us have a major responsibility for the education of these students. I know how difficult it is to teach, to counsel, to whatever role we have at the college. I know how difficult it is. I know how much effort it takes. And I just want you to know that members of the Board of Trustees appreciate what you're going through, and we count on you to educate our students very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustees Thorpe and Mead. And you see that this is the reason why I give him the mic. He's really good on the fly. I neglected to mention he was, I believe, interim president for a whole year. So I think that was probably his first favorite president, was the man he looks in the mirror. But I've gone down a couple ranks, apparently. Welcome back. I'm excited to see you. I hope that you're excited to be back here. Maybe even a couple of you excited to see me. I've got a couple comments I want to make to you. But at the outset, what I want to tell you is that my goal is to give you an idea of what I've been up to, what I'm thinking about, what some of the things I see on the horizon for us, what some of the things I see right in front of us. And I've also decided to make a little bit of a change in this program from what I understand is the history of this speech, and that is I'd like to reserve some time at the end for you all to ask me questions. And I hope that you take me up on that. if you haven't for the last year, and I know many of you have, and I appreciate that, but if you haven't, I really do believe that that is the best way of gaining understanding between people, even in large settings like this. And I've always promised you, and I'll continue to promise to you, that I'll be truthful to you. I'll tell you the truth, or I'll tell you I don't know the truth, or I know the truth, but I can't tell you. And let's start that conversation as soon as I get done chatting with you about some of the things I've got to talk to you about. So last time I talked to you, in fact, the last 2 times I've talked to you, I had a speech written out, and I droned on for 30, 40 minutes. And I thought, well, let's change that a bit. At the very least, let's have some photographs and a couple words. Now, my goal is to not kill you by PowerPoint, but it is to join you in what I expect is the multiple levels that you like to be presented information upon, and that is through pictures and words and voice. So what is the state of our college? This speech is called The State of the College. And I thought, well, first of all, what does that mean? What am I supposed to talk to my colleagues about as the state of the college? And I asked some people what they thought that meant. And I can tell you that there was no consensus. Some people thought I should lay out a vision. Some people say I should note what we accomplished over the last year as a college and where we see in the future. And some people said we should simply welcome the colleagues that are coming back from a nice break on the summer and those that have toiled through the summer to say, here we go on a new term. And I have to be honest with you, I haven't arrived on a full consensus in my mind about what, or any of those ideas of what the mission of this speech is. So I decided to try a little bit of everything. But my goal is not to drone on. It's to tell you that this is the way the college looks now, or at least in the fall last year. And I look at this picture a lot because, one, I used to look at the earth a lot from above it. And second, this picture gives me an idea and a sense of pride about what we are. It also shows, I think, some parts of our existence here in Dearborn and Southeast Michigan that are not quite perfect. It also gives me ideas about where we should be heading and what we can correct and what we are proud of. It starts to inform what my vision is and my goals and my plans. It starts to do that. But I got to tell you, I'm not here to give you some grand vision of Cavalluna's rendition of Henry Ford College. I've been asked. I've thought about it. I really don't think that's what this institution needs, is the next president's flavor on Henry Ford College. I'm going to explain that to you in a minute, but I want to tell you what I did the last year to come to that conclusion, that this really isn't going to be Cavalluna's vision of Henry Ford College. This is what we looked like almost 50 years ago. This is what we look like now. I don't think I can understand the history of this 80-year-old institution unless I look at that picture. And if you've joined me in my office, you know this picture stands in my office wall almost as big as that whiteboard. And that was as big as Kathy could make it. And next to it is a picture about 20 years later, and then this picture. And I hear some of you just kind of think, it's impressive, isn't it? It's impressive where this college has come. And so over the last year, I've thought, well, what do I do to get into this picture? What do I do to get into this picture to find out what is working for you all, what is not working for you all? What are our shared goals, our shared vision? And I started to think, well, the first place I should start is engaging with the most important resource we have on this campus. Those are our students. These are the students that represent the student groups, many of them. And I've been going through as often as I can to interact with students, ask them, what is working for you? What is not working for you? What are you proud about Henry Ford College? What do you think Henry Ford College should be? What is it not that you wish it were? Who are you? What role do we play in your lives? What role can I help you with? What role can my family help you with? Can anyone spot my family member in this photograph? Courtney, can you stand up? This is my wife, Courtney Cavalluna. And I show you that picture at the risk of annoying a person who's generally pretty shy, and that's not me, to tell you that we, my family, are invested in trying to figure out what these students want, what these students need, what these students do and needs as support. Because I really do believe that's something that should inform our vision. And I can tell you, I'm going to keep saying it that way. It's not going to be, if there is, it's not going to be my vision. It's going to be our vision. Where are we headed as a college? Where do these students need us to be? And what is the capstone? What are we really trying to accomplish? That's not a hard question. If you don't have the hair on the back of your neck thinking about the day we graduate, rising on your neck and being so proud and so excited about what we get to do on these graduation days, then come see me and I'll convince you how wonderful it is. So the next step I did was say, well, if the students can give me some information about this, what are the next group of stakeholders that I should engage actively to try to find out what they are interested in? That's faculty and staff. I have actively worked to try and figure out what is important to you all, who you are, why you're here, what you want to accomplish as an employee, as a teammate, as an educator, what you believe in, and where your vision is for our college. I've even thought, maybe they should see that I enjoy this job also. I enjoy you. I like you. And that's not hyperbole. I bring my family here to be with you because I want to be with you in what we're doing. So what is my focus? It's your needs. It's our students' needs. Now, I couldn't have known that in my first month. I couldn't have known that in my first term. Frankly, I've been here 1 year, and I'm so grateful the board has invited me to come back. And I still am refining my idea of what your needs are, what our students' needs are. Because in reality, that is our vision. That is where I believe we should direct our course. And when I sit and talk to you, I learn your message directs your needs. And this is evolving, but this is how I see it today. You want this college and these students to thrive. What do I mean by that? We've been here 80 years. Some of you have worked decades as teammates in this endeavor. Some of you are rather new, but each of you want a place where you can work. I've heard this from you, where you can work and feel proud about what you do, but you also want the place to continue. You also want to be part of this generation of people who dedicated their professional lives to Henry Ford College. And that takes students thriving and this college thriving. Let me just be very blunt. It takes us working together so that we continue to exist. And you want communication from the leadership. I'm doing my best to tell you what I'm thinking. I promise to always be honest with you. And I really do every day think about trying to give you the information you need so at least you understand where we're headed as a college. And you told me that the culture at this institution needs to be around teamwork, and that maybe it hasn't been that forever. I don't know if that's the case, if there were problems. I do know that you all want a culture of teamwork. It's unanimous amongst all of you that tell me this. No one wants to argue with each other. And everyone has told me they want to stop arguing with each other. So how can we advance these? If you were a fly on the wall in the cabinet with my senior team, you'd see I think pretty linearly. I like ideas of where we need to be in focus areas and how we're going to get there. In fact, this is what you typically see on the documents that get presented to me. And poor Vice President Herbst and Vice President Nealon have seen these scrawls over many of their documents to me. But I do believe we should focus, for those things that you have told me you need, we should focus on academic success. We should focus on the budget. And we should focus on our culture. And so what I plan to say in a couple minutes is what I think we're doing on those fronts. That is the question mark. What are we doing? And where we can improve, and where we have been successful, where we can build. Now, I think we've done some basics on a lot of those focus centers of academic success, budget, and culture. We do have excellent academics. There's no doubt about that. We have had a successful budget for over 5 years, and our culture is getting better. When I talk about academic success, we have consistently done that. And budget, we've consistently done that. And our culture, we're building a culture now of teamwork. But what is it I'm asking you all to help me think through, are the next steps in innovation on these things? What are the things that we're going to do differently, or better, or double down on consistent best practices? What are we going to do in these areas? Here's some of the basics we've accomplished. The School of HHS is led by two wonderfully talented, intelligent leaders, Dr. Susan Schunkweiler and Debbie Szymanski. Where are you all? Stand up, please. They are proud to report that 3 years ago, the NCLEX, and you know the NCLEX, if you've been at Henry Ford College for a year, and that's what I've been, you know what the NCLEX is. Szymanski and Schunkweiler will tell you what it is every darn time you see them. 3 years ago, it was pass rate of 65% first-time takers. This year, 93%. I rounded it up, Dr. Schunkweiler. And it's hard in the nursing to get these students at 93% because you're always looking up at the surge techs and the paramedics who are getting every single person to pass on the first time they take the test. You ready, Kevin? SOLA. SOLA. So, Jennifer Ernst, Cynthia Stiller, where are you all? Jennifer Ernst, the dean, Dr. Ernst. At that school, they've created 18 new liberal arts programs that allow majors in liberal arts, and they already have nearly 100 students this fall majoring in those programs. I hear you from the SOLA school that your concerns are about access to these classes, and I think this is positive movement on that. Transfer bridges for humanities and social sciences so that we can advertise to those students who want to use this academic institution as a bridge to a four-year institution. I think we've made progress on that. Is Pat Chapman here? I haven't seen Pat. Pat Chapman. She's with Jillian. Is Jillian John here? Is Jillian here, Pat? Is Jillian John here? Oh, she's yours. I got the wrong one. Where's Bob? Okay. I read the notes wrong. I apologize. I know Bob James is working with you because we've showed off your darn school so many times any VIP comes here. Bob James is the Associate Dean, and we've got Pat Chapman, who is the Energizer Bunny over BEPID. You know, I asked the VPs and the deans to give me things that they'd like me to say about their school, and most of them keep it to about 2 or 3 paragraphs. Well, Dr. Chapman, I think, has about 15 paragraphs, and I've tried to summarize it here, but it's 4 grants from the city of Detroit, and almost $1 million, serving 311 students. And as I say, when I bring VIPs to this school, one of the things I like to show them is the work that Pat Chapman's doing, because I believe she's trying to put the college in a positive light to those employers who want to bridge the skills gap. Now, let's talk about some other basics. And this is the part that you all are going to go crazy about because you love this part of the presentation. We're talking about accreditation and the Higher Learning Commission. You all probably remember I talked a little bit about this. And you should know that the Higher Learning Commission will send a peer review team to visit us on November 18th and 19th. This is basic academic success. We need to show people who review our work that we are worthy of accreditation for a whole smattering of reasons. And I'm going to ask you to help me accomplish that. So before they come to visit us in November, these people have been putting their nose to the grindstone on this very important work. You probably know someone on this list, and you should be happy to see that it's a diverse group of people from the professions that they have and the backgrounds that they come from and the expertise they share in the academic worlds. They are working to write what's called an assurance argument. Now, an assurance argument is over a 100-page document that we will give to the Higher Learning Commission and say, this is the reason why we deserve accreditation. We need to give that to them by October 21st. And in that, we will be telling our story about who we are, where we think we're strong, where we think we can improve, and why we believe we're entitled to accreditation. We want, and I want, and the two real drivers of this process, Betsy Cohn and Lori Gonko, want your input on the sections of this argument. And they are in 5 different sections. And you'll be asked to give input on those that you think you can have valuable insights on. Now, that's going to happen over the next several weeks. And I believe what we're going to be asking you, and I know this is going to be tough in a fall where all of us have so many things running through our mind about how to get ready for this term. But I believe we'll be circulating each section and asking for you to give input in about a 1-week window. Now, how else can you get prepared for this visit? Well, as I mentioned, Dr. Gonko and Betsy Cohn have devised a plan to help you with preparation forums. In fact, I'm going to need to use some of that. And there will be notice on the employee portal about these types of forums, and I hope that you can find time to make one of them and ask the questions that you have. How many people in this room have written an assurance argument for the Higher Learning Commission? Raise your hand real high, real high. I got to tell you, I couldn't raise my hand, but I've read them. They're not easy. And they often are done during the summer, like this past summer, right, Betsy? And they require not just being a sound writer, which Betsy and Lori are, but they require the begging and pleading of going to your colleagues and saying, we need information. So I want you to know I support these two, and I want you to join me in thanking Lori Gonko and particularly the writer, Betsy Cohn. Please stand. Stand up. So, how many people have heard me talk about enrollment? I hope a lot of hands come up. Where's Dr. Harvell? How many people have seen Dr. Harvell lecture? All right, so I'm going to bounce my voice off of Dr. Harvell and say, enrollment is pivotal. Enrollment is pivotal. I can't say it like he would, but I can say rescue me if I'm wrong. And I can tell you, I'm harping on this because it is so pivotal. This is a picture I took when Dr. Harvell was just breaking down a classroom in front of a bunch of students, telling them how great Henry Ford College is. But imagine him saying, enrollment is pivotal. And I get the sense that I haven't made the case clear enough. So imagine Dr. Harvell in his most persuasive tone telling you the fine details of enrollment, because that's what I'm going to do. This is where we generate revenue as a college. It's about $88 million of revenue, and you can see that more than 50% of it comes from tuition and fees. Let me give you some contrast there. These property taxes that we are lucky to have from property owners in Dearborn, like myself, account for 15% of our budget. Most other community colleges are north of 20%, and some are in the range of about 40 to 50%. State aid is something that I'm trying to affect. I've talked to legislators multiple times, but I'm not sure state aid will increase. So we're left with 54% of our budget relying upon more students attending Henry Ford College or raising our tuition. Now, one of those two options is significantly better than the other. Here's what we look like as enrollment over the last 12 years. And the trend is somewhat similar going back further than that. I know it's small font, but we're looking at the top graph is number of students. The second graph is credit hours. The third graph is contact hours. And the last is full-time equivalents. I need, again, channeling Dr. Harvell here, enrollment is the way that we accomplish academic success, budget, culture. I need your help with enrollment. I know we have, the numbers prove we have a product, a service that the community values. But this enrollment is the only way a college situated like ours will thrive. These are the tax footprints of the community colleges around us. Look at Oakland County. I told you that 54% of our budget comes from tuition and fees. Oakland County, bigger budget, about same size budget. 17% of their budget comes from tuition and fees. 17%. Now, that may seem daunting, but I'm going to tell you I think it's our chance to thrive. Because, folks, we don't have a choice. We have to raise enrollment. We cannot depend on property taxes. That's what that shows you, is the amount of property tax you can gain as a community college per that name. The way we thrive is we say to the market, to the students, to anyone who has value in a community college product, we are the best value. We are the ones that care about your success. We are the ones you should invest your money, your children, your time. It's the only way forward. And I don't bring this to you because I am excited about the doomsday that it may feel like. I bring it to you because I think this is where our opening is as a college. This is where we can shine. Because we've already been a hustling team. We've already hustled to have more students from outside our district paying a premium to get the product here. We're already valued as a great educational institution. We simply wouldn't have been able to survive as the third largest community college with this strategic disadvantage if it weren't the case. Rescue me if I'm wrong. So help me, and help this team. This is the strategic enrollment team. Excuse me. Herbst, I always mess it up. Strategic enrollment management, there's a core team and there are two leaders. And I'm going to have you give them a hand in a minute, but I want to tell you, we're attacking this problem with the kind of innovative questions and results that I think is the path we move forward through. And this is a group that has unprecedented cross-sectional input from our college, asking the question of how can we leverage our value. Our value is educational quality. Again, I know that because of this, as I noted, this shows you the only way we grow and last 80 years is because our quality is so high. How do we leverage that? And I'll tell you, the Strategic Enrollment Management Core team, I'm going to call it SEM now, S-E-M, they're led by Jennifer Ernst and Holly Diamond, and they're trying to figure out ways to manage this enrollment issue. You know, our completion rate is one of the metrics we're graded on. I don't think it's quite fair, but it is what it is, and it's 8%. Our goal is to have it at 15% by May of 2020. How many people have heard of KPIs at the cabinet in Henry Ford College? All right, some of you haven't. KPIs are key performance indicators that I've worked with each individual vice president to identify as the most important, and I limited them to 3 to 5. And they still gave me 7 or 8, and I limited them to 3 to 5. The key things that their departments need to achieve for us to move forward on academic success and budget and culture. And the enrollment and completion and retention are in that information. If you don't know that, ask the vice president above you, hey, I'd like to see our KPIs. I've shown the board, I've shown anyone who's asked, because I want you to see what your vice presidents think are important to you. Retention, another metric that we should look at to see, are we going to be able to manage enrollment? Because the truth is, as you know, most community colleges lose about 50% of their students from fall to fall, and about 30% of their students from fall to winter. Well, our goal is to make our retention rate from fall to fall increase by 20% to 70%. That's described as a stretch goal, but I'll tell you, I think we can do it. I really do think we can do it. The SEM's work is diverse. Here are some of the things they're working on, and I'll draw your attention to the bottom one. I've asked the SEM core team to devise a method where we decide, truly, how big should we be? Because don't misunderstand me, I'm not suggesting we need to be 20,000, 30,000. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, for what you told me you wanted, which was a college that would thrive with students that are thriving, there is an enrollment spot that is north of us now, but is a sweet spot. And I believe we should define it. When I arrived at the college scorecard identified that as 14,500 students. I'm not here to tell you that's right or wrong. I'm here to tell you that we're looking at it, so that I can come back to you and say, here's where we will know we're in the right spot. Enrollment is something that I've talked about, voiced myself through other people, and here are our goals. Again, not simple goals. But I believe that we can do these things. So much I've told my board, these are the goals you should hold me to. Now, one of the things I want you to see is that I don't believe that this should be something that I sit down with 2 other people and make decisions about. I really do believe that this college has what it needs to make these lofty goals. I really do believe that if we come together and tap the resources around this college, we can take on really, really difficult, important goals. But I think the teamwork that is necessary for that is something we haven't yet achieved. We really need to find groups of people who can come together and